Hello, Gary. Hello, Michael. Thanks for joining me today. How are you two?
We're good.
Good, thank you.
Really good, Nergish. You're looking very nice in your pink.
Yes, like a pink blancmange. It's a touch and go thing, basically. I don't have the thought process to think about what I'm wearing, other than looking in the mirror and thinking, I look okay. I come up on screen, the lights go on, and I think, what are you thinking? But in fairness, boys, I'm 60 soon, so I'm doing okay.
You are. You look good.
Here we are, and I'd love to talk to you guys because, from my point of view, the icons of the industry that have the PHAB Service Star, basically, I think that we need to know what takes you to that level of standards. We'll today talk about all kinds of things to do with higher standards than others, higher drive, competitiveness. I think these are all things that make you, I think, much better at your jobs. So first, I'd like to start by saying you're the owners and you work in your businesses named, I guess, Hooker and Young. And I'd love for you to tell us where they're placed, because you've got, I think at last count, was it 3?
It's 4. Yeah.
4. Fantastic. So could you tell us where they are and describe them? Thank you.
So they're all in the northeast of England. 3 of them are pretty close by, only about maybe 6 or 7 miles apart. And then there's the 4th one is a bit further south in the sort of Teesside area.
Got it.
So all within reach of us being able to be hands-on and get there. So yeah.
Fantastic.
They're all in pretty well-to-do suburbs of the town. So we tend to select the sites carefully for where we know what the market is that we want to attract.
I think it's important to say, we don't have any city centre salons, and that has been an intentional thing, because way back in the day, before we were Hooker and Young, we were part of a franchise group which was all city centre based. And it comes with its problems, and I think the pandemic has proved city centre salons bore the brunt of it. So
yes,
if ever we were happy to have suburb salons, it was now. It was now.
Definitely next year.
Wow, certainly dodged a bullet there. So would it be fair to say they're sort of in and around Newcastle suburbs?
Yes.
Fantastic. So I guess I'd like to now talk about the drive that comes. I've watched your work. I've admired it. Basically, you've won several awards. And there is I think you swept the board, didn't you, this year with the Creative Awards? Weren't a lot of your people involved in winning?
Awards. Yeah, we had a lot.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a few things as well. I think we won the Colour Award at the Fellowship Awards as well, which was really lovely. I mean, to be fair,
and we were Fellowship Hairdresser of the Year.
We were
last year, which was not the best year to win it, but it was still a fantastic achievement.
Awards are not like, we don't try and notch them up and we don't count them. It doesn't really work like that for us. I think we're always incredibly proud of the work we put out, and you enter an award, you are putting yourself in a creative arena where you are going to be judged. So you've got to accept the results come what may. And we're always thrilled with what we create. And if occasionally, now and again, you win something, it's amazing. But, yeah.
So the drive, I look at your work online. I see some superb precision work. I see adventurous work. It's a gift, I think, and a lot of our icons in the industry, I could say the same thing about each person that comes along, but it just, you're performing at a higher level at all times. And I think that comes with a drive for people. I definitely think that I want to do things to the best of my ability. And if I am doing it to the best of my ability, I am, pleased as punch, really, because I don't tend to compete with people, because I don't tend to see life that way. I just want to be the best for me. And again, you know, to impress possibly my family, my friends maybe, but that's where it comes from, the drive. And of course, I'd like to ask you where individually, where that drive comes for each of you. So who'd like to go first?
I think my drive is obviously because I've been hairdressing now for 43, maybe it's a little bit longer, 45 years. And but from day one, I always wanted to be the best I could be. And I was never really happy until I could reach the next chapter where I wanted to be. I started work in a huge salon in a department store, and there was about 50 or 60 juniors, and pretty quickly I became the top one. And as soon as I was there, I went on to a better salon where I thought that could help my career go further. And that's what I've done all my life, really. Then obviously when Michael and I met, we now drive each other. If Michael's having a day where he's not feeling particularly motivated, or same with me, we'll fire each other up and drive each other as well. So for me, it's always been about just achieving the best you can be. And also, we're very competitive. We're competitive with each other. We're competitive in work. I'm competitive in dog showing. So I'm a pretty competitive person. So I think I was born that way, probably. I'm never 100% ever content with what I achieve.
So the what's next question is always at the top of your mind somewhere.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Yes, which can be quite exhausting to live with.
I've got to say, we are very, very similar in a lot of ways. I mean, we're about to celebrate our 31st year together as a couple. That's like a huge achievement. It doesn't feel that long at all, but
it's a miracle.
I think you were right, Nergish, what you just said about, wanting to be the best for you. And certainly for me, that rings completely true. Yes, I'm competitive, but I would say, if this makes sense, I'm competitive with myself. So I'm not trying to be the best version of me to be better than other people. I just want to feel fulfilled. And for me, that isn't being better than other people. That is me feeling I'm being the best version of me. And correct. I think you would agree with that.
Yeah, definitely.
Competitions and things, awards, although yes, we do enter them.
Correct.
It's not, I don't go to bed dreaming about it and wake up thinking about it. I feel, I just need to feel fulfilled and happy. And then, I am my own biggest critic. We both are. So if we do something and we don't like it, we'll do it again. Yes. So we always striving to be better. And where that has become a really great thing, because I don't feel I'm in competition with other people, it has allowed me to bring on and nurture so many of our team to realize and achieve their goals. Because, I don't know who this would apply to, but I do know from my years in hairdressing that some salon owners or big names in hairdressing have, to a degree, not let their own team shine because they want it to be all about them. And that is something that seems really alien to me, because I feel we've always said we want to create superstars within the Hooker & Young brand. And I'm at a stage in my career now where I get such a thrill out of that, like such a thrill.
Of course. I mean, it's the same with me. Basically, if my children are succeeding, the thrill is for me because I've actually nurtured someone up to that level. In fact, I only say that because I annoy my son, who's just, I'm so proud. He's just got his master's from Oxford. And I have to say that I keep telling him, that's really mine. It's nothing to do with you. I put it on behalf.
Take the full credit.
So I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And it was, I see where you're coming from. And I think that your point just now that you made, Michael, about people worried, I think it's worry from salon owners. I don't think it's, I don't think it's intentional in a bad way. I think it's actual worry that we've nurtured this person. If they then shine, they'll go somewhere else, or someone will poach them, or someone will. And, you know, the PHAB Service Stars, I have to talk about this because it's the fundamental reason why I set it up, saying, if you don't nurture your staff and you don't let them shine, because not everyone's going to be a creative genius. Not everyone. Some people just love coming into work and nurturing their clients, bringing those clients back. Those clients can't live without them. I've seen hairdressers pick up the phone to clients because they've heard they're ill, and, you know, catching up with them and stuff like that. You see, that's what relationships and trust build businesses. And unfortunately, we've forgotten that in hairdressing and beauty. Reward the people that go the extra mile. I mean, you know, creative awards are fantastic for our industry. They're the sort of central hub. We're great at what we do. We're creative. But what about the hundreds of people behind us that are actually punching away every single day? And their creativity is great, but their customer pleasing quality is superb.
Yeah.
And it's that I think that salon owners occasionally should think, if I don't reward them or recognize that hard work, it's the equivalent of just saying, no, I'll be the star, I'll be the star. And I think eventually you'll end up losing that person anyway, because if there's never any recognition about anything that you do, then it becomes difficult. But it was, I couldn't let that sentence go because it's so fundamental to what our belief is.
I feel, you know, it's, success is measured differently for everybody. You know, when somebody will say, you know, would you consider yourself successful? There's a lot of blurred lines, because in hairdressing, certainly in the creative arena, success is measured by award wins and, you know, social media status and all of that. But it's different for everybody. And you just hit the nail on the head. You know, if somebody isn't interested in the creative side, then success for them is running a busy column, buying the car of their dreams, you know, by getting their first mortgage, and they are successful in a different way. You know, they might not be getting on a stage and holding up a silver lady, but it's like their success they've achieved.
Absolutely.
And I think we are very aware. We are very, very aware that all of our team, they are all successful, but just all in different ways.
Yeah, and I think we owe a lot of our success from our business point of view to the team that we've got. And we've had the majority of that team now, some 25 years, some 20 years.
Quite a few.
10, 15. We very rarely have new stylists starting unless they've come from within.
Virtually all of our stylists, I think with the exception of possibly
one,
two across the board maybe, are all born and bred, came from school, trained with us, and are now busy stylists, some of which have been there 20 years.
So has the, I mean, that's so remarkable, I can't tell you. Can I just ask, when you say born and bred, they started with you, you've nurtured them all the way to their creative levels, and now they're running a busy column, etc. There is a lot of talk about, oh gosh, we're not getting enough stylists in our business, etc. Has the issue of employee status and chair rental status, has that been an issue with you guys at all?
No, it hasn't.
It's a lot to do with teaching, and I do have to say that, again, that's such a big topic in the industry, and my thoughts always come down to foundations. The foundation has to be so secure in a business that when COVID comes, when Brexit happens and it affects if you're into products, the business has the ability to sway with those things. If the foundation is weak, it'll just snap right off.
I mean, interestingly, the last two stylists we had apply for positions within Hooker & Young both came from a self-employed rent-a-chair background, and they wanted to come to us to be employed. you know, and it's just, we're a busy salon. We allow people to charge good prices because our pricing structure is premium.
Correct.
And because of that, the commission it's great. There's the possibilities to
Endless.
are endless. Without the hassle, you know, without the hassle, they still get paid when they're on holiday. They don't do their own tax returns. They're getting looked after in every single way. And I just think, you know, bring it back. We need to shout a little bit more about the benefits of being employed. There's so many.
And we did have a girl. She actually left. On the very rare occasion we do have a stylist leave, she left to go self-employed, and she was renting a chair for about 2 years. And we had a situation where we need to get somebody in the salon pretty quickly. So I approached her again. I said, asked her how things were going. And she said she wanted to come back. And we got her up at our conference, and she stood up and just said how different it was renting a chair to being employed, and how she would never go back to renting a chair because it was just horrendous. It wasn't what she thought it was.
So she sat there and said that to our whole team of 50 people.
Yes.
It was brilliant.
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
What a great message to send out. And I'd like to go on some, I've asked you, Michael, where your drive comes from, and you've said that it's also inherently in you. So I'd like to now talk about, when you were setting standards to start with in your businesses, was there any time that you and Gary did not agree on a standard? And how would you have resolved that? Or did it never actually come up?
I don't really think it came up, really. I think we were both...
I think we're constantly setting new standards.
Yeah. Got it.
And we're constantly looking at new ways to elevate the business and the brand and the people within it. And more so since, you know, the back end of the pandemic, because we're very aware that clients' needs, wants and expectations have changed.
Yes.
But my God, the teams have as well. Everybody who works for us has got a different mental attitude. They're very aware. They're aware of how we run the business, which maybe they weren't before. They're aware of what their working day is, or what, more importantly, what they want it to be now. And rather than have conflict, you know, we made a conscious decision together that when we do all the one-to-ones, we'll sit with people and we will really listen.
Be flexible.
Yeah, and we've listened to what everybody wants. You know, thankfully, I would say the majority of our team are like, it's just great to be back. We're happy. I'm making money again. Honestly, I'm great. And then you've got others who maybe, you know, there's a few people who got so used to being at home more. There's now that want to still be at home more, so they don't want to do 5 days a week. And we've facilitated that. We've cut their days down, maybe slightly longer days, but they're doing, you know, it's working for them. We've got other people who, you know what it's like in hairdressing salons. Having a Saturday off just doesn't happen. It's not a day people have off. We have people now who have a Saturday off every week because they want a weekend off. And you know what? Gary and I are both old school, and old school means you didn't have a Saturday off. You worked 5 days a week. This is this, this is that. And it was like that. So we have had to learn to change and adapt the way we think. Correct. But my God, by doing it, we have got a very, very happy, productive, well-oiled team. It's great.
Yeah. Listen, you've always had I've met the whole team basically.
Yeah,
so
you have.
I can actually say you've always had a very good team, because your communication is very clear with them. And I think that was the thing that struck me the most when I met you guys, and that your maybe the ability to listen and may have improved, as you're saying.
Yeah.
But I think you've always been, rather than stick, a rope. So if you are a stick and you refuse to bend, it is going to snap. There is a point where someone will not take it. Either you won't take it or the employee won't, and it's finished. The relationship is severed. But a rope actually goes around obstacles and can be moved around. You know, if you're playing with rope on a flat surface, anything is possible and achievable. But flexibility in leadership, for me, is like breathing. It's as basic as breathing.
Yeah.
And if you don't listen and you don't move with the times and you don't, a relationship is what two people being happy. And I think if you manage to achieve that, it works for you, it works for them, it will forever sing happy tunes.
And on that, you know, and kind of going back to your question, I think that is and always has been the key for Gary and I, because two people, both with very strong views and opinions, but are both very willing to be flexible with one another. So, you know, yes, I'm not going to lie and say Gary has an idea and I go, oh, wow, yeah, and vice versa, because it doesn't happen like that. Well, it does, but quite often he'll say, just hear me out and let me speak before you say anything, because I am good at butting in. So he does make me listen first. And he'll say something and I'll go, yeah, I actually love that idea. I think it's brilliant, but I do think it needs to be maybe just developed a little bit further. So we'll talk about it more until we get to somewhere where we need to be. But we are both brilliant at compromising with one another. And sometimes if I have an idea, whether it be a creative idea or something within the salon, and he may say to me, you know, he would never say no, but what he would say is, right, I'm going to be dead honest, I don't really get it. I've heard you twice now and I still don't get it, but you are so passionate about it. I think just do it. Just do it. And that's really how we roll.
I think,
you know?
as well, I mean, we're both very different personalities. I get very emotional about situations
And anxious.
and anxious and take things very personally. And sometimes I have to say to Michael, and I'll tell him I'm going to have this and that. And he say, right, just calm down. This will happen, that will happen, and everything will be fine.
Just put things in boxes.
Put things in little boxes, and then I sit and I think, yeah, that's right, I'll do that.
We're good for each other in business. I mean, we're great for each other personally. Obviously, we're married. But in business, we're very good for each other. I think even if we were just business partners, it would still be a hugely successful partnership. You know, we do
get on each other's nerves a lot.
Of course. I'm sure there's some plate throwing.
It wouldn't be normal if
24 hours a day.
It would be normal. I mean, absolutely, it's normal in any healthy marriage. But that's why I started that comment by saying, when I've met you in the training session or whatever, the thing that makes it easy for both of you is you're very good at communicating well.
Yeah.
And so if one of you isn't, then it will always be a problem. But you've just displayed exactly what I started to say. And as a leader, being able to communicate, being able to be flexible, these are foundations of leadership. So whether you've gone to university and got a degree to do it, but instinctively, if you're a good communicator, and instinctively, if you're a good listener, it's done. Half the job is done. So yes. So could I ask now a little bit about, because we're still talking standards. So Gary, you're showing dogs. Now I know very little about dogs and pets generally. I'm not, I don't dislike animals, but it's never been, I grew up in India. And so there, you know, animals, it was never hygienic to have them in the house. So my attitude towards animals is very different. It's that, you know, you look after them. So there used to be strays around and people would go out and feed them and stuff like that. But I don't think animals were allowed into the home. And then when I moved and Hong Kong, it was a completely different attitude towards animals. And then I moved sort of to the West. And then I saw how absolutely besotted people are with their animals. And it's just such a different thing to see for me. So when I learned recently that and I only learned recently because I haven't been ever on social media up until a year and a half. So when I saw that you were showing dogs, the perfection there that it's required? Because I love, interestingly enough, I love watching crufts. It's a dichotomy. I know nothing about animals, but I love watching crufts. Anyway, I know what a lot of effort that takes. Where did that start? And
yeah, it started about 35 years ago. And I've always been an animal lover, always had dogs all my life. And I decided, funny enough, it started from crufts. I was watching crufts and I seen this magnificent Great Dane. And I thought, oh, I'd love to have a Great Dane. So I went and I bought 2 Great Danes. And it started from there. And I went to the show, and of course, being quite an extrovert, you know, and like being on stage and things like that, it's very much about the presentation. And I found myself being really good at handling the dogs. Right. So, you know, the presentations is half the job, really. You can make a bad dog look good if you're a good handler. You can, or equally, you can make a great dog look really bad if you're not a good handler.
Of course.
So once I got into that, and it literally grabbed us so quickly. Within 6 months, I had 4 Great Danes. Within 2 years, I had 10 Great Danes. And then I was breeding and been really successful. And I've since gone on to be the most successful Great Dane breeder in the UK. Judged crufts. We've been to Australia to judge Australian Great Dane of the Year. America, South Africa. So it's very similar to hairdressing, because you've got a lot of hairdressers who do it. It's very competitive and it can be very bitchy.
I didn't know that. Lots of hairdressers show dogs?
Yeah, lots of hairdressers, a lot of them. And yeah, it became a really big passion. And I think maybe, you know, obviously with the pandemic, it all had to come to a stop very quickly. So that I was in a routine that every weekend I would get in the car on a Sunday morning, say at 2 o'clock in the morning, and drive to Windsor or to Bournemouth or to Aberdeen to go to a dog show and come back the same day. So it's like pretty, you know, hard, grueling stuff. And obviously, as the older I've got now, I don't actually relish the thought of getting up that time. Yes, but I've also now got, I think I've got to the point with the dogs is they're more pets now. I mean, they've always been pets, but like, I don't have that drive because I've basically got nothing to prove now.
Correct.
And I've satisfied all my ambitions in that thing now. I still want to judge the dogs. I'm still very passionate about the dogs, but it's not my main focus anymore.
It's incredible. But see, again, your story involves standards. You didn't just want to do it after you saw the show, then you wanted to do it to the best of your ability, straight in there. And I think it's what I'm exploring when I'm speaking to the icons is that it's almost an instinctive thing to want to do something and to do it to the best of your ability, and not stop before that.
Sorry, one of the main reasons I have actually stopped doing it is because the standards in that particular breed, Great Danes, now have gone so far down. Me competing and winning in that arena now is not such a big deal, because it's like really all I'm doing is winning because the rest are so bad.
You're basically showing up and winning, really.
To be honest, it's not even a thrill. We used to be like 20 or 30 dogs in a class. Now it's 5, 6, so it's not the same.
So is it time to teach people how to breed dogs properly? Maybe.
Well, that's one thing you could never do, because it's
oh dear.
Yes, I've known people who've been breeding Great Danes long before I started, 30, 40 years ago, and they still can't manage to breed a good Great Dane.
What a pity.
Maybe I hope no, they're not watching.
So I shouldn't go hashtag crufts on this then.
You didn't name any names.
I didn't. I didn't make any friends when I judged.
Right then. So, Michael, I have to say I read a lot about photography with you.
Yeah.
And where did that start?
So it started, well, I think it's fair to say I've always been intrigued by beautiful imagery. So even when I was a hairdressing junior, I'd still go out and buy Italian Vogue and, you know, all the mags I could buy locally and sit and look at the pictures. And it was, you know, I probably thought I was looking at the hair, but it's only on reflection with hindsight that I realized I was looking at much more than hair. I was looking at composition, light and shade, and just the beauty of the picture. But that didn't really resonate with me, I guess, at that time. And then when we started doing photo shoots, I would assist Gary in the early days. Then we would be very much collaborating together as a team, doing all of our rewards entries. And I would get so probably annoyingly too involved with the photographer. There were probably, if I wasn't the client, there probably would have been like saying, can you do one, please? Because I would sit with them, go through every single process and really absorbing everything and just intrigued by the whole creative process of taking a picture. I'd say about 10 years ago, I taught myself how to do editing, retouching before I'd even bought a camera. So that side came first. That's why we started looking so good in our holiday pictures.
You make me look a little bit thinner.
Yeah. And then I would say about I'm guessing, I think about 7 years ago, I didn't just buy a little camera. I thought, I want to start taking pictures for our team, the Hooker and Young collections. I'd like to take them. So I invested, you know, in photography terms, not a great deal of money, but a substantial bit of money for a good camera, good kit, lenses, lights, etc. Started doing a few test shots for our team, which were just, even the very, very first shoot was really beautiful. And I gave it to, I think it was Professional Hairdresser, and it was used over 8 pages inside. And I was like, oh my God, I'm pretty good at this, you know. and just jumped on it and started doing all of the Hooker and Young imagery then, even our shoots for British Hairdresser of the Year, which was a big step.
Phenomenal.
And have had award-winning success. We've won 3 British Hairdressing Awards, Hooker and Young, with the collections that I've shot. And then last year, when we were coming out of the pandemic, yeah, it was around about April time, I started getting DM'd by so many people, all mostly friends of mine from the industry, saying, oh my God, Michael, thinking about BHAs, I'd love to shoot together. And last year, it was a bit overwhelming because British Hairdressing Awards season, the deadline to get pictures in is the 3rd week of June. And I didn't start shooting until the middle of 3rd week of April. And I shot for 14 people.
Oh my God.
It was a lot. I mean, I was
it was a very tense time at home.
I was run ragged, and bearing in mind at this time I was doing all of my own editing. I did have to outsource some of that because it was just becoming crazy. I was sitting up through the night editing pictures. It was mad. But we got 14 finalists in the British Hairdressing Awards, which was just incredible. I was absolutely overwhelmed, thrilled. And I've also started shooting now. You know, Schwarzkopf used me for a lot, for like ambassador shoots. They've got a few things in the pipeline for me this year. I shoot for the Schwarzkopf Young Artistic Team. I've also shot for Tim Scott Wright, Rainbow Rooms, Gary Taylor, Melissa Timperley. The list goes on. There's Goldsworthies. You know, I've shot for so many different people. And then this year, I think we've got about, I mean, we're only still in January, and I think we've got about 10 different people booked in to shoot for. And the list is just grown. I've got another couple of conversations to have today with prospective people. So it's just going amazing. I love it. It's an extension of my creativity. I'm not competing with any of the photographers. I'm just competing with myself. I just want what I'm doing to be the best. I still think I'm on a journey, but I think you're on a journey in hairdressing. You know, somebody once said, you know, hairdressing is a journey, not a destination. And I feel like photography is exactly the same thing. I'll never get to the point where I go, oh, I'm amazing, because I think every shoot that I do is different. I like to listen and collaborate with people and bring their vision to life rather than push my vision onto them. It's a great way to work. And then it means no two shoots look the same. And I just, yeah, I just feel at the age I am now, I'm 48. I'm kind of embarking on a new career almost, still within hair, which is amazing. I mean, my new website launches next week and it's called Michael Young Hair Photography. A couple of people had said, oh, I'm not sure you should have put hair in it because that means you can't shoot fashion and beauty. And I thought, well, my passion is hair and I want to be a hair photographer. So why not put hair in that? It does what it says on the tin.
Absolutely.
Anybody looking for a hair photographer, if the type of hair photography, I'm going to pop up there. But yeah, I feel blessed and thrilled that it is turned out. It was never a hobby. It was always something I took incredibly serious as a profession. Who knew it was going to go like this? And I just thank my lucky stars every day that if I continue to be the best I can be, people will want to work with me. And I'm thrilled. It's great.
Well, I think a world's photographers better sleep with one eye open. That's what he's saying. That's fantastic. But it's just so much, just having that ambition to be the best. I think it's phenomenal. I guess so. What's new for your businesses in 2022? And tell us what's happening in 2022? Anything you want to talk about? And after that, I'll leave the last words with you, last words of advice for our beautiful industry. But in the meantime, what's new for your salons? Is there anything particularly? Are you all changing product ranges? Are you introducing new services or treatments? Or is it just perfect what's happening?
We've got something big on the horizon. I mean, it's a labor of love and it's been taken a while. I'll let Gary.
Yeah, it started about 2 years ago now. Obviously, just before the pandemic, we were starting to look for a relocation to relocate one of the salons. And we found an amazing site out of town. So we need to market it a lot and make sure we drive people there because there is nothing else there but this salon. And it's like an old farm building. So it's very, very beautiful in the countryside. So we've been trying to get that. We had the architects come out, we had the plans all drawn up. Then COVID hit. And then obviously COVID lifted for a while. So we're straight back on the drawing board.
I think it's good to say at this point, we hadn't signed for anything.
We haven't signed for anything.
So we weren't tied in.
So then we found there was problems with the water and the drainage and the kind of things that we put down the sink.
Of course.
We had to do all that kind of testing. Then found that we couldn't actually operate out that unit because of the kind of bio plant they had.
It's interesting just to let people know what this is because we've tried to speak to people who may have a similar situation. This set of old farm buildings, because they're not on any sewerage waste because of where they are, all the waste goes into a treatment plant. So not a septic tank, but a treatment plant which relies on bacteria to break everything down, and it's a soak away. Right. We were only told this very, very late in the day after we invested a lot of money on designs, architects' plans, solicitors' fees, everything that goes with it. Then we were told about the treatment plant. And as it happens, it's not suitable for a hairdressing salon. One, because of the chemicals we use, and two, because of the amount of water we put down.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I mean, you've probably seen a post I put on Facebook about trying to work out how much water a busy salon would use a year.
Did Anne, the wonderful Anne Vassily,
an amazing formula. It was fantastic. She really took it on board and she went away and came back. So fast forward a little bit, we decided that the only way around it was to put in our own septic tank, which would then deal with just the hairdressing salon's water. But now we've come to the problem that the biggest one available is something like a 10,000 gallon, which means it'll have to be emptied every 10 weeks. And the costs now are starting to go, it's literally going to put about £6,000 a year on the running costs of the business. So we're trying to balance that off now and seeing if the landlord is willing to maybe drop the rent a little bit and meet us halfway. Because costs are going to go up anyway with electricity, and it's a much bigger site for us to run anyway.
It's very hard to get your head around that you've got to pay to have water taken away. You know, it's just...
it's not hard to get your head around that when my first bosses at Vidal Sassoon in Hong Kong bought a place in Umbria in Italy. And so I've been through all of this beautiful farmhouse on the borders of Tuscany and Umbria, and literally everything you're talking about, I've understood in one go, because I've gone in and, you know, I used to spend a month out of the year in Italy, and they were building a palace, and these two, I mean, still are, and they've now moved back to Scotland after 20 something years in Italy. So, yeah. So I get every word of that, and it's like I'm hearing Andre and Norman speak to me right now.
Yeah. It's like one of those things that you seem to get that far, for, you know, little few steps forward, then two steps back, and it's like sometimes I think, oh, somebody's trying to tell me this is not the right thing to do, and then he'll go, no, it is the right thing to do.
A couple of times, Gary actually said to
then
me,
I get cold feet.
We got another lot of bad news about it all a couple of days ago, and he said to me, I just need to speak to you about the new project. I went, But do you not think we maybe just realise we've got to throw the towel in and just admit defeat on this one? And I went, no way. We're too far down the line. I want this to happen. I can visualise it. And that's the thing. I can visualise it. And I think whatever these problems are, I mean, they are at the minute, there seem to be financial problems now, but we need to look at what the extra expenditure is going to be, look at what the forecasts are, what we're going to take, try and negotiate the rent down a little bit, maybe see if we can get the guys who are going to take the water away to give us a better price. And somewhere in the middle, we might get something that is...
Yeah, I think as I've got older, I don't know if anybody will agree with this, I've become a lot more cautious.
Yes.
You know, we've got a great...
Also, the climate we're living in has made a lot of us very cautious.
We've got a great business. We've got 4 salons who do really well. You know, one could do better. And the one that we're talking about relocating does extremely well, and it's very profitable. It's small and it's probably not on brand for what we want it to look like. But then the clients all seem happy. So then I start thinking, why are we actually moving that salon to there if it's working? So then I start having these little fights in my head, and this one telling us this and this one's.
I think you should actually reflect back on what you've achieved, and you've always had this, you're saying you've always had this conversation in your head about, you know, are we doing the right thing? And then look where you are. You've always done the right thing eventually, even with those conversations in your head. Where you are is a result of those conversations, and then the balance of Michael. So I think I don't think
a lot has to do with the last 2 years and all. Yes. There's so much negativity about the industry. And then sometimes you listen to it all, and then you think, no, I'm not. We're doing all right, actually, but I don't understand why.
Yeah, but it's hard to not let it affect you. You know, when you're listening to all there's some terrible things have happened to people, terrible, you know, losing their businesses, you know, not hardly making ends meet, and just the amount of stress that's given to people. So you just think, you know, it's self-preservation. You know, even if your business is doing good right now, you look at the horrible situation that the people have found themselves in and just think, you've got to just make sure that that does not happen. So it does make you...
Yeah, I think, again, I'm like way back years, just as Michael and I met, and the salon that I had at the time was on the verge of bankruptcy. You know, we were going to just about lose everything, really, and pretty much did. So we had to start again, really, when we both met, and that always leaves that thing in your head. What if?
Risk. I think Michael has it in a nutshell. Basically, there is a side to me in business. I'm very confident, etc. But there is a side to me just now that is so distracted in life, and I'll only say this: that the situation that is happening in our country at the moment has got me so angry. I have never had that much anger in me that we are being actually being imploding from inside for no purpose. There is no need to do what we are doing just now. And I feel so angry about it at times that I literally don't have a civil word to say about it. And so I had to actually take stock one day and say, you know, it's going to be bad for me. If I continue down this road, it's going to be very bad for me. And I have a very fearless attitude, and it started taking away my smile. I'm a very happy-go-lucky person. And the day that I noticed it, I thought, I bite my tongue a lot more, and I never used to. I just speak my mind the whole time. And I'm constantly having to find myself editing myself. And it's hard work, but when it came close to taking away my smile, I said, I stop here now. This is where I stop, and I've got to start concentrating on something else. So I found ways, you know, music is a very big part of my life, etc. And so I just switched channels, and I just went, you know what, the news is going to go off. Sorry, that's my alarm. The news is going to go off. Everything's going to go off. And I'm going to concentrate on what I'm doing, because I know that what I do helps other people.
Yeah.
So I love hairdressing. I love beauty because I'm trained in both. I am going to make sure that whatever I have as far as thoughts and collaborations about 2022, etc., those are the things that I'm going to concentrate on and develop. And it just brought me back online. So all you've got to do for a little while, I know you can't, there is a civic mind in my head, which means that I absolutely care about the bigger picture, not about me and my financial situation, but everyone else's around me. So when those salons came to me that were closing, Michael, the help that I gave to everyone at that time, the first year of my lockdown was nothing but talking people through hard situations. For no charge, nothing. It just went on and went on and went on. And I knew that that was where my thoughts lay. So I was helping anyone get out. If it was too hard to pull back, I got them out unscathed, as little loss as possible. So that became, suddenly I had to use all kinds of other skills. So that's where you are with this project just now. And don't forget that you've already done this very well. 4 times,
yeah,
many more, and in dogs and showing dogs, and in photography and doing photography. So you can't just go with what the gut instinct is and where you know you're doing well, and it'll work out. Always does. With people that are determined, it always does. So I shall leave you with the last word to the industry, and there I should call, you know, I could talk to you guys for absolutely hours. It's so horribly limiting for me to have a time limit anyway, but there it is, and our time's up, sadly. But what would you say to the industry, perhaps one positive thing that you've learned? And you said so many in between here, they'll get it, but your lasting words for 2022 and how to approach it, maybe.
Well, for me, I would say, and is self-belief. I think you need to believe, you know, if you believe you can do it, then I believe you can do it. It's something that I kind of live by, really, because a lot of people will have a bit of a fantasy or a dream. I wish I could do that, but wishing you could do something and believing you can do it are very different.
Yeah.
If you believe you've got it in you to do something that you want to do it. Now is the time.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and I would like I just think we're really blessed to be in the industry that we're in. You know, it's in a wonderful industry. We've had a few hiccups the last 2 years, but I think, you know, as a stylist or as a salon owner or as an assistant, anything, just, you know, respect the people that you work with, and also look after the business that you've got, and, you know, drive it forward. Forget about what's gone past, and don't let it go down you know, it's roots out here getting told everybody's going to be self-employed. We've got salons. We need to make sure we look after the staff that we've got and reward them, like you said, and be flexible.
I think now is the time to come back bigger, better, and stronger than ever. Now is the time.
Agreed. Wow. What a superb interview. It was lovely. Thank you for giving me your time as ever. And what can I say? Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're very welcome. Next time we're in London, let's meet up.
Please let me buy you lunch this time. It would be lovely.
You're on.
And yes, I'd love to talk some more when we're together. Speak soon, guys. Thank you very much. Lots of love. And the internet didn't play up.
It didn't.
Oh, God.